this video, I'm going to introduce you to one of the key features of a quadratic graph. In the next couple of videos, I'm going to introduce you to some of the others. But the first one we're going to look at is the x-squared coefficient. Now, I will remind you that we had some key features of linear graphs, which is the first type we look at. We have the gradient, the y-intercept, and the x-intercept, the key features that we look at, and those are really helpful to us in trying to draw the graph or interpret the graph or find the equation of the graph, these kind of things. It's all about the key features. The gradient, the y-intercept, and the x-intercept. Now, some of these translate really easily. So the y-intercept and the x-intercept, well, the x-intercept is going to be a little bit different, but the y-intercept is going to be essentially the exact same idea, where we cross the y-intercept, why we cross the y-axis, and the x-intercept is a little more complicated, but it is just where we cross the x-axis. Gradient, we don't really have an idea of yet. Our problem is that in a quadratic graph, the gradient is constantly changing. And by constantly, I don't mean constantly, I mean it is always changing. It's changing all the time. So we can't really just describe the gradient of a quadratic graph. We can find gradients at different points on the graph, but that is an A-level topic. We're not really going to worry about it now. We're going to need some different features, though, to talk about a quadratic graph. And these are the key features I want us to focus on. So we've got the x-squared coefficient, which is what this video is on. We've got the y-intercept. We've got the x-intercept in brackets s, because there could be more than one. But I'll talk about that more in another video. And then we've got these last two, which I'm not going to talk about now, but we definitely will come back to, which is the minimum and maximum point and the line of symmetry. So these are some of the key features of a quadratic graph. Now, as a reminder, this is our quadratic equation. So, well, this is our equation of a line for a quadratic graph. So we always say it's in the form y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. Again, like we did with y equals mx plus c, we try to get it into this form first so that it's nice to work with. So the x squared coefficient of this graph is just that a there. It's the thing in front of the x squared when we have it in the correct form. And this very quickly tells us something really important about a quadratic graph. And it tells us whether it's going to be a U shape or an N shape. So to put it very simply, if that x squared coefficient is positive, we get a smiley face. If that x squared coefficient is negative, we get a sad face. Okay, so that is a very quick feature that we can get just from looking at the equation. So if I have an example, y equals 4x squared minus 2x plus 1, I look at the x squared coefficient, which is 4. Because 4 is positive, it's going to be a smiley face. If we look at y equals negative 4x squared minus 2x plus 1, I look at the x squared coefficient. Now in this case, the x squared coefficient is negative 4. So it's going to be a sad face. Here's another example. Y is negative 4x squared plus 1. We're not thrown off that there isn't an x term, because this is still a quadratic equation. The x squared coefficient is, again, negative 4, so this is going to be a sad face. Here, I've tried to confuse you by putting the 4x squared at the end, but it's the number in front of the x squared that's important, so it doesn't matter where it places in the equation. The x squared coefficient is 4, so we're going to have a smiley face, because it's positive 4, we're going to have a smiley face. This time, the x squared coefficient is in the middle. The x squared coefficient here is negative 2. I know some of you may be thinking, well, that's a subtract. Sort of. It really just means 1 plus negative 2. So this is negative 2x squared. My x squared coefficient is negative 2, which means it's going to be a sad face. Right, so the key points of this video. If we have y equals ax squared plus bx plus c, the x squared coefficient tells us the shape of the graph. If it's positive, the curve is going to be a happy face, and if it's negative, the curve is going to be a sad face.